Yeah, there you go.
Okay, all right, you want to talk Matthew Toe at 62 points or Dan Hollins at 87 points?
Welcome to the Rugby Rant podcast show, your premier North American rugby podcast. Growing rugby, one fan at a time.
Hey, what's going on, Rugby Rant fans? We're back this week, episode 160, a milestone. And let's just say this, that for a milestone of 160, we certainly have the right person on the show tonight. We've got none other than Darryl McCormick. And if you're looking for, knowledge, information on what's going on down there in the Carolinas, this guy is the guy because he runs and operates the fan page called Rugby Carolinas. Darryl, welcome to the show. It's been way too long.
Yes, it has. Thanks, Rob. Man, it's always great to be back. And it seems like it has been a while, but these are exciting times. So I appreciate you having me on the show and looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, you're a busy dude. We tried to nail you down before, and you're either living in a hotel or I don't know, or you're
a road warrior,
shacking up in some street corner in a cardboard box. I'm not sure which, but nevertheless, you're hard dude to pin down. So when we get you in, we like to make sure that we spin it the right way. And it's only too bad that you don't have something anthem related on. You had to go with the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, there's no quite sure why. So I'm going to revert back to my Midwest days. So
there you go. What's your connection to Kansas City?
Well, I grew up in Kansas and went to the University of Kansas. So most of my friends were from Kansas City. So and I've been a Royals fan since I was a little kid, and and Chiefs too. So go Chiefs.
So you probably had that. Yeah, how about it? They're playing lights out these days.
They are.
Kind of came on strong there at the end of the season, peaking at the right time. And you had to have been a George Brett fan, right?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, Pine Tar episode.
He would have made a good rugby player, I think.
Yes, he would.
Fish and vinegar,
I would have loved to see that.
Yeah, 100%. So so it's great to have Darryl on the show. I'm excited. I get Darryl all to myself. Because my guys, Ty had some illnesses going through his family. He's had a rough go of it. And then Scotty has no power. The big guy has no power. I think he's going to have to consume everything in his fridge so that he doesn't lose it. He probably doesn't listen to the episode anyway. So at any rate, so I've got you all to myself, but it's a perfect opportunity actually, because we're going to change things up a little bit with the Rugby Rant, and we're going to get into it in just a moment. Just give you a little peek behind the curtain as if I'm the Wizard of Oz. Since we got Darryl here, and obviously living in Charlotte right now, he's at the epicenter of everything going on with the Anthem, the new team. We're going to talk to him a little bit and get his hot takes on what's going on there and that's going to be kind of our around the pitch segment. We're going to really hyper focus on one particular place and what's going on around that pitch down there surrounding the Anthem. And then we'll get to the Rugby Rant. And folks, we got a fun one today. I tried to get my buddy Matt Wags on, works for the Hounds, assistant coach for the Hounds, to jump on for this one. He just was too tied up. But we're going to talk to you about two things. We're going to tier out where we see all these 12 teams. What tier are they in? Where do we see them sitting preseason? And then we're going to take a look at the schedule and pick some of our hot games that we think as fans you don't want to miss, or at least we don't want to miss. Whether or not you agree, probably determined based upon, your home team or the team that you prefer to follow. Nevertheless, we're going to talk to you about what we like. Maybe agree, disagree. No worries. You can comment below and tell everybody what you're thinking, and that'll help everybody hone in on what part of the schedule they need to start paying attention to. And, if they're starting to sift between, I've got 6 games I got to watch, I got to pick 3 because, kids got soccer this afternoon or rugby or whatever they're playing. You can kind of pick and choose, and it'll give you an idea of what people are thinking. So anyway, we're going to come back in just a moment. We're going to hit you with Around the Pitch.
When we pick up the ball, we also pick up a legacy. A legacy that stretches beyond your current team. A legacy built on the backs of those who came before you with hard work. And for those who will come after you, we promise it won't be easy. But we'll be there, supporting you on and off the field.
All right, we're back, folks. And again, as promised, around the pitch, we're going to, like I said, hyper focus on that area around Charlotte. And because we have somebody of that guy's expertise, we're going to get involved in this a little bit more like an interview style, because we believe he has some insights. Darryl's going to bring us some insights from what's going on. So first of all, I want to open up just the first foray. Big question for you. Obviously clued in running Rugby Carolinas, the fan group, and being, really having the pulse of rugby in the Carolinas. What's the vibe like now that the anthem's been announced and they're going to have a full-time professional team in the city, and they won't have to travel down to Atlanta any longer?
Yeah, exactly.
Or LA all the way across country.
Yeah. Well, the vibe is pretty darn strong. So the Charlotte rugby community, I've only been here about almost 3 years. And one of the things that surprised me when I moved here was how strong the rugby community was. It's been around a long time. Goes back 40, 50 years, all the way from youth to collegiate to club. And it's extremely strong. So I knew that right off the bat. It's part of the reason I started the page. It's kind of tied grassroots rugby into MLR. And the closest team, of course, at the time was Rugby ATL. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine, so the folks that are on my page they're just buzzing. And so I mean, everybody could just hardly wait. So we kind of had all hoped as a group that someday, we'd have an MLR team. We just did not believe it would come this soon. So the town's buzzing. So the rugby community is definitely buzzing.
It's got to be exciting for you guys. And I got to tell everybody, awesome. I consider myself I was pretty much a flanker most of my playing career, and I consider myself pretty fit. I prided myself on being pretty fit, getting around the pitch pretty good, beat my opposition to the line out or to the next phase of play. But the one time I think I came very close to dying was in Charlotte in August.
Yeah, in the summertime. Yeah, definitely.
If anybody's been to the Charlotte Rugby Club, they have a beautiful setup, just a great facility. Their clubhouse overlooks this pitch, but it sits kind of in this low level by a creek. So that, when it got hot there, it was like the devil's ass crack, wow. During Mardi Gras. So, I swear to God, I almost died. I never forget this buddy of mine, Kevin Weber. The dude was like 10 years older than I was. So he was probably in his 30s, almost 40. And he's playing 2 freaking games. He's playing an A and a B side. He was a freaking animal. So kudos to Weber if you're out there. But nevertheless, let's talk more about rugby in the Carolinas, and more specifically, Anthem Rugby Club, or ARC is probably what they're going to become known as for short. So there's an excitement going on around there. Do you think that they can easily plug into the sporting landscape in Charlotte? What are there challenges there? What are the challenges? Do you think it's going to go fairly easily? What's your hot take there?
Well, Charlotte's a really good sports town for one thing. So, and it's not just the big sports. There's Charlotte FC started up 2-3 years ago. I mean, they're already averaging 30,000
really
per game. I mean, they're just crushing it. And it's not like a lot of the fans are really into soccer. A lot of it's just the atmosphere. People want to go because it's a great atmosphere, right? And then the city also has a minor league soccer team. In fact, that's the same pitch that Anthem will be playing on. So I'll talk more about that. But
yeah, for sure.
But it's there's a professional or minor league women's soccer team coming to town. There's a solid minor league baseball team, which is right uptown, which is downtown basically. And it's a really, really cool area right in the social district. So I mean, it's just a solid sports town. And I think already having a strong rugby community in the Carolinas will just add to that. And I think it's a really good match. Now, that being said, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever it is they have put aside together is not a lot of time to do a lot of PR. Right. So it's going to have to build momentum. I don't know how many tickets that will actually be able to move right to begin with, but of any town that I think can pull it off, I think Charlotte can do it.
Yeah, so it's going to take a major marketing effort for sure to break into any sports community. I mean, the sporting landscape is so tough just because it's so diverse and everybody's trying to fight for every nickel to try to, get attention and get, more money poured into their sport. But, if there's anybody that I think has that mind for it certainly and understands the sports landscape, particularly the rugby landscape. It's Scott Lawrence and crew and all the guys that have worked for him as coaches and things like that. I think he'll set up a pretty good situation there. So excited to see that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned facilities. You talked just a little bit about it. Can you give folks a little bit more insight? And we're talking about, everything from, what's the pitch like, what's the seating arrangement like? Is there, are there boxes? What kind of concessions can we expect? What's the parking like? Where is it situated within the town? Is there some nightlife around there? Are there all the accoutrements? Is there, public trans? So, those are the kind of particulars that, people are going to go to the city and find out, go to the city and check it out, and watch their favorite team travel away. What can they expect?
Yeah, it's the stadium is actually called American Legion Memorial Stadium, and it's been around since I believe they built it either in the 20s or the 30s originally, and it was named out because of for the veterans of World War I, especially those that were from Charlotte that passed away in World War I. That's how it originally got started. So a few years ago, not that long ago, they completely renovated it. And I'd never been in it before. So the Hawks played one game there last year. So that was my chance to get in there and see it. I was very impressed. Grass pitch. It's really the home of the Charlotte Independents, which is the local minor league soccer team. And so it's a good pitch. It's a nice oval shape to it. It's got a great view of the Charlotte skyline off to the north. It just sits just south of downtown Charlotte, what they call uptown here. So it's in a really good area with a lot of nightlife. You'd like to say you're close to uptown. It's got good public transportation. Parking is pretty good. They got a parking garage right next door. The standard parking rates are like start at $10 and go up to like $40 depending on where you want to be. And there's a couple of parking lots around if you don't want to be in the parking garage. So that's pretty accessible. The seating it's not bench seating. It's like fold down seating. I don't remember seeing any boxes. There's no boxes. But the seating is quite comfortable, good concessions, full concession stand. Beers were like $10, that sort of thing. So I think it's just, I really was hoping that's where they were going to play because it's centrally located. It's right near the social district of the city. It's easy to get to, and I think people are really going to enjoy.
What's the capacity of that one?
10,005.
10,000. Yeah. See, it from all accounts, it sounds like they have a really nice situation. Other than not having boxes, which I think is kind of an important feature to really, grow corporate interest in the game and bring in, corporate sponsorship. It's one of the features they're going to be missing. But with some development, they could probably make that happen. Especially if there's a soccer club there, I think that could something that they could fix fairly easily. Is there a jumbotron or some kind of big scoreboard in there?
Yeah, on the north side of the pitch, there's a jumbotron. If I remember right, it had a few issues. It wasn't a really bright, clear screen, but it's functional. You can read it, so that might need a little bit of work, but it's good. It's solid. It'll work. So
awesome! It sounds like they had the perfect facility to start off in. Obviously it's not too big, but there is room to grow.
Correct.
Organizationally, tell us about what's going on in the organization. What are you hearing? What are some of the rumors that are floating around? We're not going to, hold you to anything. We're just, again, you're plugged into the rugby vibe there in the Carolinas. What sort of things are people talking about with this organization? And give us your take on the branding too, at some point in this little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So just a little bit of history. So this is a direct I guess, descendant, for lack of a better term, of the USA Hawks. So the Hawks are started last year, and they were created.
Well, they were reinvented last year. They've actually been around since the mid 2000s.
I did not
Little
know
known
that.
fact. Yeah.
Leave it to you, Rob. See, that's why this is your show.
No.
So
I just steal information from Dave. Kudos to you, Pete.
Don't we all?
You're my brother. I love you.
Right on. So the Hawks kind of all right, then fired back up again. But the whole point was to be a developmental side for American players as a pathway to the Eagles, men's Eagles 15 side. So most of the players were, if I remember right, most of them, if not all of them, already had MLR contracts, but they were not scheduled to get much play time. So this is a way for them to get experience, hours on the pitch. And so they didn't really have a league to join. So they kind of jumped into that South American league. And I can't remember what they call the league, but it was teams from
SAR.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Super Rugby Americas, SRA,
yeah,
sorry.
That's it. So Brazil, Uruguay, Argentina,
Chile.
Yeah. So they jumped into that. They played several away games, and then they played, I want to say, 4 or 5 games here in Charlotte. There was only one game they played in American Legion, and the rest were scattered around one at a high school stadium and a couple at UNC Charlotte. So UNC Charlotte was kind of their home base. May still be, I don't know if that's going to be their home base or not. But a lot of the coaches work out of that campus, UNC Charlotte. And so what happened is then basically when Toronto and New York folded, I don't know if World Rugby jumped in or made phone calls or what, but it turned out to be a conglomeration between World Rugby, MLR, and USAR. And with the same intent as the Hawks, and that is to give these young American players playtime, but now it's on steroids because now they're in a professional league in North America. To my knowledge, I don't think there's going to be any foreign slots on the team. I've not heard anything about that. It's all strictly American or USA eligible players, and we play on the side. So I'm sure, I think they've picked up some players on loan from other sides, and I'm sure that'll probably continue. But that's about all the information I know as far as they haven't released a roster yet. That's probably a little ways out yet.
I think they are going to have a few foreign player spots, and you can probably expect to see them at the spine positions, at the 9-10, perhaps at hook, maybe at fullback. But yeah, I would. That's what I'm hearing from some of the sources that are out there.
Good.
Yeah.
And as far as the branding, some of the folks on my page were had some question marks, but nobody's really. No, there's not a lot of haters. Nobody's really hating it.
Yeah.
They seem to be embracing it. We're all kind of going, "Oh, what's Anthem?" But if you look at some of the promos, it's kind of a patriotic carryover from USA. It gives it that little bit of a patriotic flair. But then they put Rugby Carolina on it, so it's Anthem Rugby Carolina. So, but like you say, they'll probably just shorten the arc. The colors look to be, kind of UNC Chapel Hill colors, that North Carolina blue, or Carolina.
Are they going to be using a yellow in there as well? Is that what?
No, I haven't seen any of that coloring, and I don't know. Do you give them a mascot? I don't know. What would your mascot be? I don't know. That probably will come down the road, but at this point, I don't think anybody's overly disappointed. Yeah. I think everybody's embracing it, and they're just all kind of chomping at the bit to see some swag, so, everybody's pretty excited about that. I think people are just so excited to have a team here in Charlotte. And, it's all been extremely positive from what I've seen on my page.
Yeah. And then think about branding. I love where they're playing in conjunction with that idea of Anthem, right? Here you have a stadium that was purpose-built as a memorial to World War I veterans, right?
Yeah.
And now you can play off that with the Anthem idea, and I think there's a lot of ways you could go with your mascot if you wanted to, from a World War I kind of doughboy kind of thing, or you could even just go with veterans. You could you could easily bring in vets to, do the sing the national anthem,
Yeah.
to, do all the, all the pregame festivities. I mean, just like the Hounds have the, Scott, is it Irish band that comes in and leads the players out, and then they, the bagpipes. Very similar thing that you can do.
And I've been kind of amazed. I didn't realize there was so much Revolutionary War history in the Carolinas. There's a tremendous amount.
Yeah.
And there's that theme they could go if they wanted to go down that route. There's a battlefield just outside Charlotte where they stopped the British. So I mean, it's there's a lot around that I didn't realize was here.
Yeah, that's good news. It's awesome. And one of the things that while we're talking about youth, let's not forget, folks, I'm not saying at this moment, but one of the opportunities here for this particular organization in this particular place, given their association with the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, is the fact that when they do, and they will develop an academy structure, right? When they do that, think about what they could do to bring in high school standouts into their academy and then plug them, they could play together within the academy structures. With the anthem. And then, they could also provide them with opportunities to go to school and work a program right there at UNC Charlotte. So they get an education,
100%.
But they're under the supervision of USA Rugby coaching structures, high performance pathway structures. You can be talking about a real revolution of that gap that exists between U.S. high school programs, U.S. high school players, and the MLR. And I'm not saying that gap doesn't that the gap isn't filled, that college rugby doesn't exist. It does, of course, but how many high performance pathway programs are there for highly skilled USA players to be involved in?
Right.
So this interesting opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think that played into a little bit of why they selected Charlotte, is because Charlotte has just from youth to high school to college now, the level of players that are coming out of this area is pretty outstanding.
Right.
You've got
Queens, right?
Queens is here now. Belmont Abbey.
Nick
Whitrow started coaching there 3 years ago, and they've already moved into the Rugby East Conference with Queens, Kutztown, Army, Navy. So that's big league, right? So that program has exploded. So now we have 2 Rugby East teams right in Charlotte. You've got 2 outstanding high school youth programs with Cardinals, Charlotte Tigers, which have been around for a long, long, long time. And they're producing players that are playing in a lot of major universities now. And a couple of them have gone overseas and played. And so there's a lot of youth right here in the area that could just slide right into an academy and end up in the MLR without ever having to leave the Carolinas.
Right. 100%. So all amazing stuff. We're thrilled. And it's not just because it's a 12 team and it kind of balances things out. I think it's really exciting to see that USA Rugby, along with World Rugby, is investing in this pathway, keeping an eye in 2027 and beyond. This is an opportunity for those players to be in a high performance pathway situation, to be, getting 16 to 18, maybe 19 if they make the finals games a season. It's really exciting, and you could probably bet that they'll put something in the fall, maybe be in that ARP, America's Rugby Premiership, that's right in there too. So expect some great things. And like I said, I've been saying since Scott Lawrence took the helm, he has a plan. Trust the plan.
Oh yeah.
I believe he is going to make a difference in USA Rugby. Full stop.
Oh, 100%. I couldn't agree more. He's the right man for the job.
Absolutely. So with that, thank you for, indulging us fans in this little discussion about the anthem. Rugby Carolinas, or ARC, is probably what they're going to become known as, and allowing Darryl to share some of his knowledge being, on the spot. We'll come back to him throughout the season in 2024. And again, so he can drop some more knowledge on us and give us more information about the anthem. But stick around, folks. When we come back, like I said at the top, we're going to be hitting, what are the 3 tiers, who are in those tiers, and talking about some of the matches that we're looking forward to as we get the revised schedule for 2024. Don't turn away. More exciting stuff to come back. Tune back in with us here in a couple minutes. We'll be back with the rant. And we're back, folks, with the Rugby Rant, episode 160. And again, it's me and my guy from South Carolina, Darryl McCormick. Doesn't come on enough because he's busy, but we always appreciate his input because he is dropping some knowledge on us every single time. And he did that just a moment ago. If you didn't catch it, we were talking a little bit about the anthem. He was talking about the vibe and what's happening in the city of Charlotte on the news that they're going to have a professional rugby team in the MLR. That being said, we're going to move forward in episode 160. And now that we have a revised schedule, we're looking forward to what's on tap in 2024. And we're going to hit you with, first of all, where do we see our teams right now preseason in, conjunction with one another, ranking them, if you will. And then we'll get into some of those games that we're looking forward to. So here's what we're looking at. First of all, Darryl, we got 3 categories, 12 teams. I'm not putting numbers on how many can be in each category. I'll leave that up to you. But here are 3 categories.
Yep.
Elite, middle of the pack, and something to prove in 2024.
Right.
So I'm going to give you the opportunity to go first. I'm super interested in where you're at here and how that matches up with what I got. So, Darryl, take it away with your breakdown of the MLR preseason 2024.
Pressure's on. So
no
I'm going to say, for my elite, I have to go with my San Diego Legion. I've been a fan for a long, long time. And they have put together some pretty, they did lose some solid players. Nate Odsberger, Chicago. But they're bringing in Matt Giddo. They've got Ma'ananu's, looks like he's going to be back. And then they picked up a player from NPC, Lincoln McClutchy, who played for Hawke's Bay in the NPC Bunnings NPC. Now I've watched this guy play. He is solid. So that back row for San Diego is just crushing it. But I also put New England right up there. So Patraz is coming back. He also played Buddings NPC and helped Taranaki win a championship. He'll be back. I think Poland is back at number 9. They picked up Caleb Geiger from New York. Solid young forward. Really solid. He's huge. I like New England to be up there again. And then after that, it's kind of a 3-way tie. Chicago is fully loaded. They picked up the Butcher from New York. I like they've got, they've got Nate Augsburger. I think their back line's going to be solid. The front, the pack's going to be solid. So I put them kind of near the top, but then, I've looked at some of the players that LA has picked up. They've picked up some pretty outstanding players, and so is Houston. So I think I'm going to go like a top 3 elite. We'll go San Diego, New England, and Chicago. And then kind of the middle, I'm going to go Houston, LA, Utah. And then something to prove. It's tough. I'm going to put DC, NOLA, Miami, and Charlotte in that lower tier.
Okay. All right. Where are you putting Seattle out of curiosity?
Seattle, sorry. I did leave them out. I'm going to put them towards the top as well. You could probably make them the 4th of the elite because they're always competitive. But I don't know. I haven't heard a whole lot of who they picked up over the off season, that sort of thing. But I guarantee you they will be competitive. So, and that's actually one of the derbies. I don't want to get ahead of things, but that's one of the derbies.
Right. Yeah. Save that. Don't Don't let that out of the bag.
Just let that out of the sorry.
Hold something in to keep people's attention so they stay tuned. Right? I mean, that's the art of this, right? All right. So I like your list. I do like your list. And I agree with you. I've met and on several occasions, Clarkey, head coach from Seattle, and he always is able to get the best of his boys.
Never fails.
He's a great coach. He's a great man. I'm really impressed every time I speak with him. So, you can never underestimate Seattle. They just have something, and their fans, when they play at home, it's like adding another player onto the pitch, right? It's like they have a 16th player, unfair advantage. Yeah. So kudos to the Seattle Seawolves fans. I know quite a few of them. Matt Cartwright, you're my guy too. So shout out to you, my brother. Keep getting well, and we'll be talking to you. But yeah, I like it. I like the list. And in many ways, we have some similarities. So let me hit everybody with where I'm at. Here's where I'm going. I'm going with elite, and I agree with DMAC here, in that I'm going with the Free Jacks. They got to be at the top along with the Legion, 1 and 2 in the final. And if you're looking at last year's table, 74 points for San Diego, 68 points for the Free Jacks. And really the next closest one there was Seattle with 59. Mm-hmm. So, really 9 points separating that number 2 from the 3 spot. And the thing about that's interesting is, if anybody, checked out the pre-final show put on Next Level Rugby, my boy Ryan Ginty, shout out to you, my brother. We had a guest. He's kind of defensive, the game analysis coach for the Hounds. And he said, that the Free Jacks blew all the defensive metrics. Like, he had a really integrated, his metric blew my mind. I couldn't even explain it. It's like the quarterback rating, how they figure that shit out. Mm-hmm. I was astounded. But he said they blew it out of the water. I expect them to be, back in that hunt. Yeah. Seattle's kind of on that bubble, right? There's a disparity between Seattle and the Legion. You just have to acknowledge that. But I think they're one of those teams that could creep up there. And that's where I make my break. I think I could squeak Seattle in there. Mm-hmm. With middle of the pack, I'm going with Houston. I'm going with Utah. I'm going with OGs. They made the playoffs last year. And then something to prove. Here's the interesting thing, contrasting Darryl with myself. He had the Hounds at the top. And while as a Hounds, being on the sideline, knowing all the Hounds guys, knowing the organization, knowing the many in the coaching staff, including Sam Harris, I would love to put them at the top, but that's why I have them as something to prove. Mm-hmm. Everybody expected them to really do a lot more last year. Right. And with that short window, that inability to get everybody in time to really get their ground operations and training and get that thing going, I think it really, I think people underestimated the ability to create that synergy that's required in rugby, that continuity that's required in rugby. And so I think that was the difficulty. Great players, great coaching staff, just, having that difficulty getting that continuity going. They had that now. They've had an opportunity. As a matter of fact, as of the recording today on Tuesday, they started training today. So expect them. I guess for me, that's why I have them something to prove. I think they're capable of better. I think they have the personnel. I think they have the coaching. I think they have all the structures in place. But for me, then that's why they have something to prove. Okay. I'm also going there with Dallas. Like, they got to take the next step. And organizationally, they were kind of a mess the last 2 seasons. That's why I think they have something to prove. They got to get their structures right. Argentinian flair will be there, but does that translate here in the MLR? We'll have to wait and see. What do we know about Miami? Again, we expect a lot of South American flair, but as a new team, I just don't expect a lot, right? They do have to prove something to me to say that they're going to move up into one of the next 2 tiers. I put LA down there. I think they lost some players that did not want to make the transcontinental jump. Mm-hmm. New ownership, new management. Will they get the facilities organized? I don't think enough can be said about, having solid ground operations that are in place. So when new guys come in, that, they're easily acclimatized because there's a system in place that veterans help them find themselves into the mix. Without that system in place, I think it can be they're going to go through some difficulties. So I would expect that. And what else do we have? I think Charlotte, same deal. Just I think they're going to go through the same difficulties the Hounds went through last year, jumping in late in the game.
Oh yeah.
What's their, we don't even know what their player roster looks
like.
Not
even the roster yet.
Yeah, so I just think it's going to make it tough.
Yeah.
And that's okay because I think that team is going to be built for the future, for development, for the long haul, and that's okay. It should be. That should be. So that's it. What do you? Any thoughts or reflections?
I like it. Yeah, I like your. I just think with Chicago, I'm with you on that one. I just have a feeling with this being Sam's second year, I think this could be a breakout year for them. And I think that kind of puts them maybe, like I say, flirting around that top tier, that lead level. But like you say, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I have this gut feeling it's going to be a breakout year for them.
Oh, I agree. I expect a lot from them. My expectations are high, but that for me, that's why they have something to prove. I mean, I was doing a little bit of looking at their roster, and so they have, they have the Butch is going to be your hook, and they have a nice. We know in the league, Hooker's a position that takes a beating, but he's got to see a machine. But they have, they have a nice depth there. But then if you look at their 9-10 has been playing for the United States together.
Mm-hmm.
The McCarthy and Carty been playing together. Then they go Bryce Campbell, Billy Meeks. You got Nate Osberger on one wing. You got Mark O'Keefe, who can play center or wing on the other. You've got another USA player there in the back line that can fit in at wing or even slot in at 9 at Michael Baska. You've got Carney that's going to come in there either at center or I think he may, will he emerge as a fullback. You have a guy that was down there at ATL. Who's this? That can play fullback. God, I can't believe it. Kirk Coleman. Yeah.
I didn't know.
I think it's Kirk Coleman. Yeah, that can play fullback. I mean, you're right. I mean, they've got so much talent. And then they've got Luke White at number 8. They've got a nice back row that's been playing together a little bit. And Matarazzo's a young guy, but he was in their system last year. He came on towards the end. So, and then they've got Patty Ryan and Lerone, and they've got some nice props that they brought in.
Experience,
yeah. So I do expect a lot from them because their talent level has grown significantly. I agree, but that's why for me that's why I labeled it something.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I'm buzzing just to be on the sidelines every home game for sure. So
well, see, that's why they're going to win because they've got you on the sidelines. So
no,
that's the edge. That's
they're going to win in spite of me. But yeah, I'm excited, man. It's going to be the great 2024, I believe. So let's turn our attention now, Darryl. Obviously, you're right there in Charlotte, in the heart of the Anthem country now. I'm really interested as you looked across this revised schedule that came out last week, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
What are some games that you have your eye on that you think are fans around the league should be paying attention to? Maybe it won't be their primary game because they have their home team that they love and follow and watch every week. But then they're looking for that second game, or perhaps if they're, like us, where they devour all kinds of rugby on the weekend.
Right.
They're that third game that they're looking to pick up. What are you watching? What games stand out for you?
Primarily, I think with LA coming into existence again, I think it'll pick up the San Diego. I think that's going to be an excellent derby, San Diego and LA. That's definitely a game to watch. San Diego and Seattle is always a game to watch. That's probably one of the longest rivalries left in MLR.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's a solid one. It's a really good. Really good rivalry.
It's like the Hatfield McCoys, man. It's like a blood.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, it's and it goes back to that 2018 championship game or yeah, I think
2019.
2019. Yeah. So when I was at that game, that was wicked. So yeah, good rivalry there. I like LA and Utah. If you had followed the Giltinis, that was starting to build into a pretty nice little rivalry. I think that will continue. I think there's another kind of a best of the West kind of thing going there. So I think that'll be good. I like New England and Chicago. And I think that'll actually be really interesting. Yeah, I think that'll be those are kind of my top picks.
Gotcha. I like it. And it's kind of interesting. You're looking at some of those derbies, and it's not. It goes without saying. It'll be interesting to see if those derbies continue. You know, we lost some of them. We lost the Chowder Cup. We lost the Fire and Ice Cup, of course, with Atlanta moving to LA and Toronto. Unfortunately, met their demise. But will we see a reemergence? Especially again because the Austin is no longer involved. Will we see Dallas and Houston pick up that Texas Cup because Dallas didn't want to be a part of it one year? Right. Will we see a Cali Cup reemerge with LA and San Diego now that LA has a team? Now the one that I'm interested in is the Dog Bowl between the Hounds and Dallas. That'll be an interesting with kind of. And I think I have, I have it. Let's see if I can find it without spilling everything. Yes, that's right, folks. I have the program from the Dog Bowl last year, right there. Yep, right there. I am on it.
That's going to be worth some money, Rob. Big time.
Yeah, we'll see. You know what? It's funny because I'm looking at this and I'd never realized it until just now. So the cover is green, right? But you see what's at the bottom of that?
100%.
Can you see that, fans?
Yep.
Little houndstooth action. So, like, if you're looking at the away green jerseys, all green, monotone green jerseys, they have the houndstooth on the cuff and a houndstooth on the short. So it's almost like a precursor to what you see this season from the Hounds and their kit. Anyway, so I'm excited about some of these. So I like it. Let me hit you with what I got here for it. So number one, I'm looking at week one. Just because it's opening weekend, there's something to me that speaks of I'm going to watch a lot of matches, but one of the ones I'm interested in, of course, I'm wearing my Shawnee shirt in honor of Sean Riley, member of the NOLA Gold, who unfortunately passed away. But I'm going to be paying attention to the OG at NOLA. And I like this matchup. I'm interested because of OG, of course, made the playoffs last year. NOLA has been shut out of the playoffs in their, since their existence coming in, when the league was born in 2018. And I know Fitz, I consider him a personal friend. He is hungry to get in the playoffs. So that'll be interesting to see if that one of those bubble teams, two of those bubble teams are going to be competitive and who can come out in that spot. So that's number one. I am looking at week three and I'm really week three. And I'm looking to see how NOLA tests against the Free Jacks, the 2023 champs. And what I'm really interested in is NOLA can put one over on them. I'm going to be sure to hit up Bozo at the Jacks Rangers. Follow up in week 4 would be the Hounds at the Free Jacks again. And I have, if everybody hasn't figured it out, I've got divided loyalties. I'm going to have to buy two jerseys, right? I'm going to have to buy two jerseys, cut them up the middle and sew the opposites together just so that I can feel like I'm repping both. But I'm interested in watching the Hounds at the Free Jacks. Again, this will give us, like we talked about, have the Hounds really made that leap forward to be a contender in the MLR, and it'll tell us right away in week 4 if that's the case.
Yeah.
So that's one I'm looking at. I'm going jumping ahead to week 6, and I talked about this divided loyalties and this jersey that I've got to sew together, and it's going to come to fruition in week 6. I'm watching this game with a close eye, and the reason is I booked my flights, baby.
Oh, there you go.
I am flying down to New Orleans. My wife, the Mrs. Hammer, and I are going to be going down to New Orleans for about 5 days during my spring break, catching the game on Saturday. I'm hitting up two of my favorite people in the world, Dan and Sheila Falcon. They're going to be, of course, just showing us the wonderments of the city, and then we're going to enjoy a great game of rugby. And I can't wait to see. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm pumped. I am jazzed for that one. All right, let's see. I've got all my post-it notes here, Darryl. Let's see. I kind of am interested in this next game. I mean, Dallas hadn't really had a great season last season, but I am interested in the Sharks in Dallas in week 9.
Yeah.
Well, why is that? Well, first of all, they're only going to meet that week because one's in the East and one's in the West. So there won't be that, home and away series. It's like a winner take all match. And the reason why I'm watching this is because both teams have that Argentinian foundation, and I'm looking to see what that game looks like.
It should be exciting.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Are we going to get that, typical big physical Argentinian flair?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to get, that just pound and ground Argentinian rugby? We'll see. But I'm looking forward to week 9 in there.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah. And then let's see. Another one, week 16, the Hounds have a prove it match versus the Legion. And then, again, you have one of those teams that we both put at, the top tier, and how will the Hounds stack up? And we should have a pretty good idea. Week 16 is late in the schedule. We should know whether they're a playoff bound or playoff bubble team by that time.
Exactly.
Yep. And speaking of playoffs, week 17 and 18, I don't know if the rugby gods just bestowed the magic on the MLR or if this was intended or planned, especially with the way they had to revise, given the fact that the anthem came in. But in week 17 and week 18, the playoffs really start. I don't know if people paid attention, Darryl, but really you're talking about in week 17, every single match is an interconference match. So Western teams are playing Western teams, Eastern teams are playing Eastern teams. There's no crossovers. And you're in week 17 where playoff implications are really on the line with, in the second to last week. And so you got NOLA against the Free Jacks. Again, that could be, what's going to happen there. Depends where NOLA sits. Depends if the Free Jacks can, have another great year. And then San Diego and Houston. Is Houston one of those teams that can emerge into elite status? Against the San Diego, who was in the finals last year. And then playoff week or pre-playoff week 2, in week 18, again, you have very few. I think you only might have one crossover. All the rest are, conference team. You have OGDC and NOLA. As I said at the top, they play it the first week, they play the last week. This could be a battle to get into the playoffs. And then you talked about it, San Diego and Seattle. Always a good matchup. Always one to watch. And that's in week 18. Could this be one of those playoff situations in there that has playoff implications? So, what are your thoughts on mine?
Yeah, no, I like it. I think another, I don't want to say sleeper, but Houston's an X factor in all this because heavy South African influence, powerful pack. I just think they're going to be, they could have a breakout year just like Chicago. And this
you're going to be in for a blood fest. You're going to be, it's a heavyweight battle if you go down to Houston.
Yep. Oh, no, absolutely. And that's going to be a really fun one to watch.
And if humans there, you will actually get into a fight.
Fair enough. I was going to mention too, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but Charlotte's not going to have any instant rivalries per se, but they're kind of bound to develop. And we talked about it. I mean, DC is the closest geographically to Charlotte.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be kind of interesting to see if something we get kind of an East Coast rivalry going, maybe Miami, I don't know, but Old Glory makes the most sense for a rivalry to kind of build. And then also maybe even LA, because a lot of the rugby ATL players went to LA. Maybe there's a little bit of weird geography going on there, some kind of competition that kind of develops there, East Coast, West Coast kind of thing. It'll be kind of interesting to see if any of that develops this year.
Yeah, like a Coastal Cup, man. That sounds good. It's funny you mentioned that OG versus Anthem game. I actually have that one pegged in my calendar for personal reasons. Hounds are away, so I have an opportunity actually. I think I might, and I'm going to be on summer vacation at that point, so I have the luxury of time. I might actually make the trip out to DC on June 1st for that match because my brother lives in Maryland. So now it's an opportunity for me to get out there, see him, kind of double up, see some rugby, see some family.
There you go.
Have a reason to go see some rugby.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be fun. And they're in new stadium this year.
Yeah.
In Maryland.
Yeah, they're in New Digs. It's a soccer complex. My brother said it's a beautiful complex. It got like an immense amount of fields there. But he said it's pretty great facility. My nephew's played soccer there, and I think he's played some lacrosse there. So people can expect at least a proper facility there. What kind of accoutrements do they have for a professional team? We'll have to see, but I'm interested in seeing what that looks like. I hope to be able to get out there.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it'll be interesting too to see the vibe in Miami for their home games. What that's going to be like. I just think it's going to be a party
for sure. Well, that facility, they're going to be in the like. Of course, I don't know what the name of the soccer team is that Messi plays for there, but I think they have a minor league team that plays in the same stadium. And it looks like an amazing facility.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're also really playing off the Messi component, really working hand in hand with the soccer soccer team there. Yeah.
And their PR department has done a pretty darn good job last year. They've really gotten the word out. And I think I'm guessing their crowds are going to be pretty solid. And it'd be a good time.
I agree. So now, do you have any away matches planned this season?
Old Glory, I think. I mean, like I say, I work up in Virginia a lot. And so it's easy for me to work a work trip in there, stay over the weekend. So I'm definitely going to do some old OG games. I'd want to do one in Miami. I haven't quite figured that one out yet, but I do want to go to Miami because it is going to be a party. So I definitely want to get that and stay on the East Coast. But Stacy out at San Diego is bugging me to come out to a Legion game, so we might have to work that in too.
It can't go wrong with Snapdragon. That's a phenomenal.
No, it's awesome. And I have never. All the games I went to was at USD at Torero, so I've never been to Snapdragon. So we love Torero. Torero was a great. It was a great facility. It was beautiful. So there was some apprehension when the team moved to Snapdragon, but it's an amazing facility. So and certainly way more capacity. So that will be. I'd love to go. So it's on my bucket list for this year too.
Well, maybe make it the final. I mean, it's an opportunity. We hear, I think, like the 3rd of August or 4th of August, something like that, is going to be the final. Scott and I have been talking a little bit about getting out there and doing some stuff at the final. So that's a great opportunity to go out there and visit Snapdragon.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That'll be a lot of fun.
And be sure to pencil in June 1st up there in Maryland.
Yeah, I will,
because I'll be there.
Yeah,
and we'll actually be able to. Yeah, we'll do a little work. We'll get on some video and we'll have a good time.
Absolutely, we're gonna do it.
Yeah. So, parting thoughts on the season? Anything just in general that is of interest for you that you got your rugby eye on, other than the elements that we talked about before we go our parting ways tonight?
It's it's always exciting. The beginning of the rugby season or the MLR season is always exciting. This one's different. It definitely has a different feel because no New York, no Toronto. I think bringing in Charlotte is such a good move, even though, there's still a lot of question marks, but it just it was a good boost to the league. And now everybody's curious. It just keeps a little bit more fan interest. For me, being here in Charlotte, my eye is on, really getting the word out and attracting new fans. And it's already a solid rugby town, but just like any other city, there's just so many people that don't know our game. And I even put on my page the other day, just, if you're coming to the games, don't come alone. Make sure you bring
a friend
fan with you and buy them a beer, and guarantee they'll have a great time. They'll love it. I've done it. I've brought lots of my friends to games on both coasts, and every time they absolutely fall in love with it. And so for me, it's just I'm anxious to see what kind of turnouts we get in Charlotte and how we can build on it and what the atmosphere will be like. And like I say, they haven't had a lot of time to prepare, not much PR, media work, that stuff. It'll come along during the season, but right out of the gate, it's going to be tough. But I'm anxious to see how it builds here, how the fan base grows. It's really exciting for me to be a part of it.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree with you, man. For me, I'm interested in this. I just have a feeling that many teams are going to be stepping up their fan engagement component of their organization.
I hope so.
And I say that because I have a friend that works with Seattle, has done some stuff with Seattle. I know that they're going to step up the fan engagement in many ways. We've had conversations about it. And I know here in Chicago that they've made a significant commitment to increasing their staff. I don't mean improvement from the sense that, Will Maggie has come in and he's really a director of player ops. So they really have plans to do some things with player and fan engagement. They have some other ideas to really drive fan engagement. They've got some other people involved on a full-time basis, not only in the coaching end, but also in the organization for marketing and ticketing and things like that. So I expect to see their game step up a notch. And I would venture to guess that there's, like you mentioned with Miami, that there's going to be an increased commitment to doing so across the league. So I'm excited to see what this 2024 season holds for us.
Yeah, me too. And it's so important. I mean, we've got to get the butts in the seats, and it will show better on TV. Fan engagement, you look at some of the sevens tournaments, LA Sevens, Las Vegas Sevens. I mean, it's a party, and it shows well and attracts more and more fans, and it just builds on itself. Word of mouth is the best thing you can get.
100%. 100%. Well, Darryl, it has been an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed hearing your perspective on Anthem Rugby Carolinas. And of course, your thoughts on, where these teams are shaken out, at least in the beginning, and what games you're looking forward to in 2024. So like I said to you fans, if you have something that you're looking for, drop us a comment below. Let us know your thoughts on what games you have your eye on for. And, criticize Darryl and I. Did we get our tiers right? Did we get them wrong? What are your thoughts? Give us a hot takes. Tell us we're shit. Tell us we're on the money. I don't care, but let's have a little fun. We don't mind a little criticism as long as we're engaging fans. Because again, here at the Rugby Rant, we're trying to go rugby one fan at a time. And we got one of the best fans in Charlotte right there, Darryl McCormick. Derek, my man.
Thank you, sir.
We really appreciate you taking an opportunity in your busy schedule to jump on with us, and promise me that you'll get back on the show periodically so you can give us an update on what's going on down there in Charlotte.
I sure will. I'll keep you up to date. Count on it.
All right, brother.
All right.
Thank you much.
You bet.
And fans, that does it for episode 160. We'll be back next week. New hot takes, new hot topics, and of course, the hot hammer. Anyway, we appreciate it. We'll see you all at the next.